Welcome to Game Guys. I'm your host Bricks, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 tips to improve your gameplay on the engineer role in Hell Let Loose. Before we get started, I'd like to give a special shout out to our friends at Team Asylum Gaming. You can check them out at discord.gg/Team Asylum. Now let's get started on those top 5 tips to improve your gameplay on the engineer role. And make sure you stick around to the end for a couple bonus tips. Tip number 1. Always start with a manpower node. A lot of the time in game, you'll hear from your squad lead, hey, the commander wants munitions, or hey, the commander wants X node. But give feedback to your squad lead and say you'd like to start with a manpower. The reason you want to start with a manpower node is because any of your support guys who get within the yellow radius of that manpower node get their supplies twice as fast. That way you can put up more nodes faster. Tip number 2, resource node values. Based on where resource nodes are placed on the map, their values can range anywhere from 0 up to 20 per node type. There are 3 types of nodes that engineers can place. First, they put down a blueprint, and then they hammer in the node as long as resources are available. Each node takes 50 resources, and the node types are manpower, munitions, and fuel. These resources build the commander's resource pool so that they can spawn tanks, airdrop resources and airheads, provide recon flights, and many more abilities that the commander has at his disposal. You as the engineer are one of the commander's most integral assets, especially if you know when and where to place the nodes. And through watching this video, you're going to find out. So, how do the values work based on the map like we talked about earlier? So if you're in your HQ sector, your headquarters sector, which is the first 2 grid squares that you have on your map, you can place nodes there, but they come out to a 0 point value. Past the HQ sector, the next 2 grid squares forward towards the enemy counts as +5 per resource node. So the commander is gaining +5 of that particular resource that you placed a node for every minute. And this process continues as you make your way down the map. The next sector, the next 2 grid squares give you +10. Then the next 2 give you +15 per node per minute, and so on until you get to the enemy's HQ. Also, as an engineer, you can only place one of each node, so a lot of times you may have to swap with someone on your team, such as the support guy, where now you're dropping supplies for them and they're dropping their 3 nodes. And you can get up to a maximum of 12 nodes on the map at any one time. But be careful where you place them, because they take like 8.5 hours to take down. Tip number 3, build your nodes in strategic locations. This is going to be a pretty quick and easy tip, but it's extremely important. In most games, you'll find players either putting nodes directly on the strong point of a capturable area, or they're putting nodes way out trying to hide them from the enemy. However, both of these can be good, but can be bad at the same time. Certain nodes now give resource buffs if you're within a radius of them within the yellow circle, such as manpower nodes giving your support guys their resources back twice as fast as we talked about earlier. It's not going to help that resource guy if they have to run 500-600 meters to the backside of the map to try to get that buff. However, also, resource nodes take a lot longer to take out by hand, but bombing runs, which are most likely going to be put on the point, will take out resource nodes. So if they're all in one area, like 6-12 nodes in one area, one bombing run can take all of your nodes out. That being said, it's crucial that the engineer pay attention when they're placing their nodes to try to not only get them up, but to put them in the most useful location where they're going to help the team and not get taken out easily. Before we get into tip number 4, I want to make a quick announcement, and that is, as soon as we hit 50 subscribers, we're going to be giving away a free Hell Let Loose game key. So go ahead and if you're liking our content, hit that like and subscribe button and help us get there. Tip number 4, use your consumables. While this is a tip that most classes have, it's extremely important for the engineer, because unlike others, engineers don't have any grenades, but depending on your loadout, you either have a satchel charge or you have 2 anti-personnel mines and 1 anti-tank mine. Anytime you're building defenses or even just walking through a high traffic area, place those anti-personnel mines. You'd be really surprised how often they're going to ping an enemy. Same thing with anti-tank mines. If you do happen to die, these consumables will stay on the map where you place them, and next time you spawn in, all you got to do is place more. So if you like not only helping the team but getting free kills, make sure you're using your consumables every single time you spawn. Tip number 5, on-the-go defenses. So not only as an engineer do you want to be defending the actual points that you're trying to hold, but they can actually be used on points that you're trying to take. Basic walls, tank traps, and other engineered deployables can hinder enemy movement and give you hard cover points to bound between when trying to move to an objective through an open field. You're primarily going to be using these defenses to try to make points more defensible and harder to get into, if not impossible. But you should always keep your head on a swivel for those random or spare supplies laying around that you can use to your and your team's advantage. And now for 2 quick bonus tips. The first of which is heal tanks and make repair stations. You are just like a medic for armor. Yes, they do have a torch in one of their classes now, but you don't know who's in that tank. So be on the active lookout. If you see a tank on your team that's smoking, don't be afraid to ask him in local or ask your squad leader if that tank needs repairs. And lastly, get the team involved in your plan. Talk to your squad leader, have him talk to other squad leaders, because it's pointless to have 2 engineers 100 meters apart, each trying to build a bunker and not having enough supplies to finish it. This is a team game after all, so make sure you're communicating with everybody and trying to get the best defenses up to keep your team and your squad as safe and effective as possible. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you liked our content and possibly learned something new. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button, and until next time, we'll see you in game.